You're listening to the Magnetic Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Calandra Martin, intuitive brand designer for spiritual entrepreneurs. The Magnetic Boss Podcast is where visionaries come together to openly share wisdom and authentic conversations. I know that you are ready to leave your legacy in the world and become sought out in your industry. I also know that you are sick and tired of getting overlooked. You're ready to have a magnetic business. I'm here to help you create your magnetic brand. It's my mission to help you show up confidently with a professional, irresistible online presence. If you're in this for the long game and all in on the big vision you have for your business, let's dive in. There was a time in my business where I was quite literally, because, I had a toddler too, I was literally throwing spaghetti at the wall and cleaning up spaghetti everywhere. No, seriously, I was trying so hard in the beginning of my business to try to make ends meet. And it really looked like me saying yes to absolutely anything. I was in this season of doing anything and everything to bring money in because at the time I had just quit my full-time job. I had just had my first baby and we were living on one income, and quite honestly that was not sustainable, and I knew that I had to do something. So I was out there just hoping something would stick, and there was a lot of trial and error along the way. If you're not familiar with my story and who I am a 1-3 Manny Jen, so part of my experience in this life is throwing spaghetti at the wall, figuring things out the hard way. As a 3-line, I am somebody who does a lot of trial and error. But there was this shift in this moment that I want to share with you today, because not long after being in that season of throwing spaghetti at the wall, I had this really it felt like an overnight transformation where I was getting invited into rooms that I hadn't planned for. I was being invited to speak, and I was leading and collaborating in ways and with women that I had fully put on a pedestal. I had this idea in my head that everybody out there was doing better than I was, and I didn't really fully see my capacity to be in a leadership role. It happened, these opportunities happened before I felt ready, way before I felt ready. But it wasn't actually a random shift. Even though it felt like overnight success, it felt like, wow, all of the stars are aligning. It wasn't actually luck. It was this shift in seeing my brand differently, seeing the way that I was able to position myself differently. Because what I really was able to do is I stopped asking the question of how do I get clients? How do I make this work, right? How do I? And I started operating from what do people need? What do people need to hear from me? And what do I have a lot to say about, right? What are my strong opinions? What do I feel really passionate about? What are the things that are happening that are making me really crazy seeing, right? And so I changed the way that I operated in my business from this place of feast and famine, how am I going to make this work, to how am I going to show up in a more purposeful and really intentional way. And when I did that, and when I started just unfiltering, quite honestly, my content stopped being calculated. I wasn't just sitting there thinking about okay, is this going to work? How many likes did this get? Oh my God, my mom was the only one that liked this. And you can hear the baby in the backseat here. Real time, no excuses recording this podcast for you. I apologize. But what I was able to do was to start speaking from my mission, my perspective, from what I actually knew to be true. And that's when the content really started pouring out of me in this unfiltered, imperfect, usually in a live video with a baby sitting in my lap kind of way. And I stopped making up these excuses about why people didn't want to hear from me because I was a new mom, because I didn't have my hair perfectly done, because I didn't have this beautiful home office or, this environment that was aesthetically pleasing. Those were all of my excuses at the time. But the authority was built organically because instead of getting louder or doing more, I was operating from a space of clarity. And I refined my brand and leaned into what I was naturally good at, what really lit me up, what made me different in the online space and the services that I was offering. And really, most importantly, I was sharing what I stood for, what I truly believed in. And this allowed me to stop blending in. When I was doing this, it was like, again, this overnight success of, okay, now I'm suddenly being invited to speak at this networking event, or I've been introduced to this article and they want to publish a story on my success and my experience. And these were all spaces and things that I watched from the outside looking in, thinking like, oh my gosh, all these women that are doing these things are so far ahead of me, right? But what matters most about this is that I said yes, right? Like, I let go of these excuses. I showed up even when I was scared, even when I felt underqualified, even when I thought to myself, like, who the fuck do you think you are? Because I had no experience, right? I didn't go to college for business. I didn't go to design school for branding. I was just out there willy-nilly, like, I enjoy designing. I enjoy making things pretty, but I also really want to do this from a intention of allowing women to elevate their own missions and their own voices. And because I had learned so many things the hard way and had experienced what worked and what didn't work, and had worked with clients that really showed me the path in entrepreneurship, I led from what I knew. And every time that I did that, and every time that I stepped outside of my comfort zone, or like stepped out of the closet of hiding, my confidence in my leadership was expanded. And that was the thing that allowed my business to follow. That is the thing that continues to grow my business and allow me to have those, special put on a pedestal 10K months. Because it wasn't about success. It was about overcoming my own bullshit. And it was about building authority from a truly embodied place. That's what allowed me to become the primary income earner in my family. That is what has allowed me to homeschool and raise my young children. All of my children are under 10 years old. I have 3 of them. They're running around all day, every day. And I'm still living this very real, very full life while also growing this beautiful business that lights me the fuck up. None of that was accidental. It was really, truly deciding to step into leadership before I felt ready. And I share this because there's so many women that hold themselves back, right? And I see this over and over again with my clients. They're hiding. They've been operating in a version that doesn't truly resonate with them. They have been putting on this mask. They're playing small, or they're watering down what they truly want to be speaking about because they're worried about how they're going to be perceived. And what happens with the women that I work with is that they recognize that they're ambitious. And underneath the surface of all of that bullshit, there's this quiet or not so quiet knowing, this fire in their belly, that they are meant for more. And women come to work with me when they know that they are meant for more. They want more impact. They want more visibility. They want that expansion, even if they don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet. And that's why I created the magnetic lens experience in this coaching container that is now a hybrid for now with my Done For You VIP day. Because after having nearly a decade of working behind the scenes with women in their businesses, I can tell you with like the most absolute certainty that if you're listening to this, I don't care who you are sitting on so much gold. You have the ideas, you have the vision, you have this unique perspective and lived experience and all sorts of magic that could really truly impact people on a bigger level. And you're just not stepping into it yet. And quite frankly, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with you playing small. I'm not okay with you thinking, well, somebody's already doing it. I'm not okay with you thinking, well, my story doesn't matter. It's my mission, and I have been putting this to the side for far too long. It is my mission to help women raise their own ceilings, break through those ceilings that you've set for yourself, and really truly step into the rooms that you belong in. But not only that, create the damn room. You don't belong in the spaces. Yes, you belong in them, but you are here to lead those spaces. You are here to create those spaces. And I know that you already know that if you're listening to this. So if it's sparking something in you, if you are resonating with this, Magnetic Lens is open. I'm excited to be sharing this in 2026. Right now, it is only waitlist for this experience. Like I had mentioned, it's a hybrid model of coaching and done for you. And all of this is everything that I share today is the work that we're doing inside of this experience, because we're not just looking at your business from like a bro marketing business strategy perspective. We are looking at it from the perspective of who are you truly? What is actually going to bring the most alignment in your life and in your business? And then, yes, of course, how do we execute on that? What are the next steps? How do we break that down into micro actions and create your brand authority from a place of magnetism, from a place of here I am. I'm ready to receive. I'm ready to do the work. I'm ready to follow my purpose and really stand strong in my mission and what I'm here to do. So if that is you, you don't have to feel ready, but you do have to be willing to step into the version of you who is ready. You have to be able to start before you feel ready. And I promise you, the version of you that you think you need to be to make this happen, she already exists. And I remember so clearly when I first started my business, I could envision this version of myself who was operating at a different level, who was working with clients at a different capacity, who was able to receive the 10K plus months that I had dreamed of. I remember knowing that I wasn't there yet, but I was gonna get there. I was going to make it happen one way or another. And I took the small micro actions in alignment to make that dream come true. And as a result of that, because I had so much intention with my brand, it all fell into place, seemingly overnight. And I want that for you too. So like I mentioned, the waitlist is open. I hope that this lit a fire in your belly, spark some ideas for you. Feel free to share this episode. And if this is something that is resonating and you're looking for somebody to not only be your mentor and your guide and your consultant and all of the things, especially if you are a multi-passionate, but if you're also needing somebody who can take that weight off of your shoulders and the to-do list off of your plate and really help you make things happen, whether it's sales pages, offer funnels, social media graphics, all the things that we need as entrepreneurs. All of that is what happens inside of Magnetic Lens, and I invite you to get on the wait list right freaking now. So yeah, thank you for being here, and I'm excited to see you there.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe wherever you are listening so you never miss a beat. For episode show notes, visit calandramartin.com/podcast. Your iTunes reviews and your sharing of the show helps us reach more magnetic bosses just like you. Until next time.